Is Hollow One back in Modern thanks to the Faithless Looting unbanning? Let's spin it to win it and try to find out. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and today it's time to see if we can spin it to win it into some free 4/4s on turn 1 with Hollow One. So as you know, a little while ago, Wizards unbanned 4 cards in Modern, and so far we've played 3 of those cards. The one unbanned card that we haven't played yet is Faithless Looting, and there's a lot of Faithless Looting decks. The most popular is probably Reanimator. We're using it to get Arcana Cruelty in the graveyard to persist it on turn 2. But those shenanigans aren't really my style. When I think of Faithless Looting, the first thing that comes to my mind is Hollow One of my favorite Modern decks that really kind of just died once Faithless Looting got banned because you needed it to discard cards to reduce the cost on the Hollow Ones and get the Vengevines in the graveyard. So today we're going to see if Faithless Looting being unbanned means that Hollow One is back. So let's talk about our Hollow One deck, what it's trying to do, jump into a Modern League, and see the deck in action. So we are built around Hollow One, a 5-mana 4/4, but it costs 2 less for each card that we've cycled or discarded this turn. So the main goal of our deck is to make Hollow One free, which means we need to discard at least 3 cards in a turn, and we get a bunch of different ways to discard cards. Newly unbanned Faithless Looting, super good with Hollow One, draw 2, discard 2, so that gets the cost down to 1. If we throw in like Street Race Cycling, that gets the cost all the way down to 0. Burning Inquiry, Goblin Lore, hilarious cards. They make us draw 3 or 4 cards, then discard 3 cards at random. Burning Inquiry makes our opponent do that too. So this is the way that we're guaranteed to discard enough cards to make Hollow One free. The problem is, because the discard is at random, we might discard our Hollow Ones, and that's where this deck becomes so much fun to play. It's got this really weird high variance thing going on, where when things go right with our Burning Inquiries or Goblin Lore, Hollow One can feel straight up broken, where we just play all these free 4/4s on turn 1 or turn 2. But when things go wrong, we can't just discard all of our payoffs and kind of do nothing along the way. So that's the goal for getting Hollow One down to 0 mana. Then we have some backup support pieces for Hollow One. The biggest one is Vengevine. So Vengevine, if it's in our graveyard and we cast our second creature spell from the turn, it comes back as a hasty 4/3. So in our dream world, we cast our Burning Inquiry, and we discard maybe 3 Vengevines, and then we cast a couple Hollow Ones for free, and all the Vengevines come back, and we could be doing this on turn 1. That's probably not likely to happen in practice, but those are the kind of draws you can get with Vengevine out of this deck. Detective's Phoenix, new addition to the deck. We can bestow it for 1 mana and collecting 6 evidence from our graveyard, and it gives the enchanted creature +2/+2 flying and haste. So essentially, we put this on a Hollow One or a Vengevine, we haste it in, we get above any ground blocker, smash our opponent for 6 damage in the air, and then Ox of Agodas is another way you can draw and discard, but we can escape it from our graveyard for 2 mana. So we can discard it and then later get it back to reduce the cost on Hollow Ones potentially. We also have some creatures that are mostly in the deck for making sure we can get our Vengevines back. So Flameblade Adept, just a classic 1-drop in this deck. Whenever we cycle or discard a card, it gets +1/+0. So if we can play Flameblade on turn 1, on turn 2 we could double Burning Inquiry, and suddenly we're hitting for 7 with our 1-drop. Blazing Rootwalla, we just get to play for free if we discard it, since its madness is 0. So we can do some tricks with Blazing Rootwalla in fear of missing out. The other big new addition to this deck, where turn 1 we discard a Vengevine or 2 to Faithless Looting. Turn 2 we can fear missing out. That's creature number 1. Discard the Blazing Rootwalla, cast it for free with madness. That's creature number 2. All the Vengevines come back. So that's essentially the goal of the deck. Otherwise, in the mana base, 4 Arena of Glory so we can haste in our threats to get in those last few points of damage. Otherwise, pretty typical stuff. In the sideboard, Magebane Lizard for combo like Storm, Surgical Extraction for graveyard decks, Meltdown Nature's Claim for artifact and enchantment decks, Blood Moon to deal with decks like Primeval Titan, and then Brothers Sedend to sweep away little creatures. And that is Hollow One for Modern. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into a league and see if, thanks to Faithless Looting being back in the format, Hollow One might actually be good again. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy the absurdity that is Hollow One in Modern, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats, tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. It is Hollow One time. Oh, this hand. We got the Hollow One, we got the Vengevine. We have no looting effects though, so I think we have to mulligan. Wow, this is essentially the same hand. But I think we got to keep this one. I don't really want to go to, I don't really want to go to 5. I guess we just got to hope we find a something, some sort of looting effect. Well, okay, there's a Faithless Looting. I think we got to wait a turn, though. Let's just play the mountain, pass the turn. I mean, this theoretically sets us up for a pretty good turn, too, where we can Faithless Looting, discard Blazing Root Wall of Vengevine, play the Root Wall for free, play the Hollow one for 1, get back the Vengevine. The power of Faithless Looting. This is our last of the unbanned cards that we haven't played yet. And I think Hollow one has gotta be the right way for us to do it. Oh, I love Hollow one. Arena of Glory. Play a Faithless Looting. Discard Vengevine, Blazing Root Walla. And play the Blazing Root Walla. Play the Arena of Glory. And Hollow one. For 1, get back the Vengevine, and smack you a bit, see if it's enough, opponent. It's okay. An energy control deck by the looks. Well, opponent, gonna crack the Flooded Strand. Tune the narrative. Oh boy, that's a lot of energy. Well, we get back the Vengevine. Our opponent might be just, well, they don't have white mana for Wrath of the Skies yet, do they? Well, hit ya. Down to 14. I mean, it's our job to close out this game. Hit you to 14, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Cycles Jolted Awake. Okay. So some sort of reanimation deck? Arid Mesa. It might be like an Oculus deck. All right, opponent passes. We draw Faithless Looting. Discard a FOMO. Discard a Faithless Looting. Stomping Grounds. Yeah, we're just gonna Stomping Grounds tap, go to combat attack. Hit ya. Pump ya. Opponent cracks. Hollowed Fountain. Tapped. All right. They got to be setting up for the Wrath. Hopefully we can just win on the backswing if they tap out for a Wrath. And opponent scoops it up. Okay. That went pretty good against the control deck. What do we want against the control deck is the question. So Jeskai Energy Control. The main question, I think, does Surgical do anything? Number 1. And what graveyard hate are we fighting against? The good news is a bunch of counters doesn't really do a whole lot against us. Is Blood Moon worth it? I guess that's the other question. Blood Moon could be worth it. So I think Blood Moon in consideration, Surgical in consideration, maybe Nature's Claim if we want to push it. So I think we can go down the Lightning Bolts, maybe go down a couple FOMOs. Maybe something like that. Do we want the Nature's Claim? That's the question. Do we need the Nature's Claim or do we just want another Surgical? Nature's Claim would be for Rest in Peace primarily. You know what? Let's say no. Let's go triple Surgical. Flage is a big issue. Flage is enough of an issue that I think we need Surgical just to deal with Flage. Well, all right. This hand's okay. We'll keep it. Probably just going to be turn 1 Flame Blade, turn 2 try to do things. 4 in Island, and Tamio. Well, okay. That's going to live for a bit, unfortunately, since we don't really have removal for it. Arid Mesa, crack it for Stomping Grounds. And get down our Flameblade Adept. Opponent's off to a much faster start this game, I will say. Cracks it. Well, maybe we should have left a Bolden for Tamio. I wasn't thinking we were playing Tamio, but Ghost Vacuum. All right, well, that's our graveyard 8. Opponent going to get in with the Tamio. Yeah, down to 17. 4-0, of course. Opponent passes. Another Flameblade Adept. Well, let's cycle the Street Wraith. Pump the Flameblade. Burning Inquiry. Okay, that's a little more appealing. Let's do it this way. Let's play the Mountain. Play the Flameblade Adept. Burning Inquiry. Just because we don't want to discard. All right, opponent has a Spell Pierce anyway. We didn't want to discard the other Flameblade Adept. Well, get in and hit you. Down to 14. Well, pass the turn. Opponent gonna eat the Street Wraith. All right, Cycles of Lorien revealed. Looking for their land drops. All right, Thundering Falls, tapped. Well, I guess the real question is, do they have another Spell Pierce? Mills of Tamio. I guess the other question is there a world where we Surgical to try to make sure there's not a Spell Pierce? To clear the way for our Goblin Lore. Opponent passes. Yeah, we're gonna have to think. Oh, we draw a Hollow one? Ugh. Oh, we really need this Goblin Lore. Okay, so, Surgical, we gotta do it. Surgical, the Spell Pierce, to do a hand check. 2 Subtleties and a Wrath of the Skies. Okay, so what else do we got to worry about? 1 Oculus, Couple deep analysis, force negations, discharges, flages, high noons, wrath of the skies. All right. So we get rid of that. We know our opponent's hand. They can't currently Wrath of the Skies. So no spell pierces to worry about. Need to play the Arena of Glory. Goblin Lore. Hopefully hold on to the hollow one, but we'll see. Well, an opponent scoops it up. Wow! So we spun into 2 hollow ones. A question there. Wow, taking down the control deck. That was hollow one at its at its finest. So the question there was, they have this Ghost Vacuum. We have Vengevine, we got Detective's Phoenix. So if we play the hollow ones, that'll trigger the Vengevine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The problem is we don't have enough mana value for the Detective's Phoenix. So the question is, do we have to get the Detective's Phoenix first? I'm kind of surprised our opponent didn't stick it out, just because Wrath of the Skies would have been really good here, right? But I guess the hollow ones probably would have just cleaned up anyway, since they can't Wrath of the Skies it, right? They wouldn't have enough energy to actually Wrath of the Skies. Well, we'll take it. Taking down not just control, but energy control. We don't have a looting effect. Otherwise, this hand's really good. We're on the play, though. So I guess it's turn 1, Flame Blade. Turn 1, Flame Blade. Turn 2, hoped hitting a looting. Some sort of looting. Burning Inquiry, Faithless Looting, Goblin, any of those. To get down the hollow one, we're gonna try it. It's close. Hands without a looting effect are kind of scary, but we have 12 of them in our deck, thanks to Faithless Looting being back. So we have a lot of hits at it. We get another shot with the Street Wraith, and with any looting effect, this hand becomes actually very good, right? It becomes a very strong hand. So I think it's worth trying, even though if we could like replace this Blazing Root Wallow with like a Faithless Looting, this hand would be really good. What are you up to? Bloodstainmire, gonna crack it. Stomping Grounds, untapped, and the ignoblest of hierarchs. Burning Inquiry. Oh, another hollow one. Let's play the Arena Glory. We gotta go for it. Street Wraith. Into Faithless Looting, please. Faithless Looting so good. So we can FOMO, discard this. Oh, all right. FOMO. We're still a card short. Discard the Blazing Root Wallow. Play it for free, draw another FOMO. And Menace ya for 3 with the Flame Blade Adept. All right, we're still kind of in the same spot, which is a Faithless Looting away from popping off. Although we managed to build a bit of a board. Oh, it's a Goblin deck. Oh, probably a combo Goblin deck. Snoop on the battlefield. Snoop on the top. A mountain on top. Big draw. Faithless Looting. Mountain. Play Arena of Glory. Play another FOMO. Discard the land. Into Detective's Phoenix. Well, hit you. I mean, we are putting a clock on, even without the hollow ones. Opponent, down to 7. Don't combo us, please. Oh, come on, Magic Gods. Well. Oh, Kiki on top. An opponent combos off on turn 3. That's unfortunate. Oh, man, we almost pieced it together, too. We almost pieced it together without being able to play the hot. Man, if we had hit a looting effect, my hand was so good. Sometimes there's a Kiki on the top of your opponent's deck. I was hoping they were at least going to have to set it up, right? But they just kind of drunkenly stumbled into it like a Tron player. Drunkenly stumbling into 7 mana on turn 3. I'm still having so much fun playing Modern, as long as I don't have to play against the energy deck. We just want to kill our opponent. That's the idea of this deck. Now we get the Brothers at Ends, which are good. We are so close to those hollow ones. We need to get at least one good hollow one nut draw. Well, all right. This has all the looting effects that we didn't have last game. Play a Mountain and play a Faithless Looting. Discard Vengevine and Detective Phoenix. Well, it'd be nice if we could get this Vengevine back next turn. Gonna mean drawing a 1-drop. Opponent Ether Vial. Wooded Foothills. Well, Wooded Foothills. Crack the Wooded Foothills. We're just gonna grab a Stomping Grounds. Grab the Stomping Grounds. Yeah, let's Burning Inquiry. Spin it to win it. Oh, okay. Discarded a hollow one and a bunch of lands. Well, now we're gonna pass. Opponent discarded Leyline that they didn't want. Ignoble Hierarch, Munitions Expert. I mean, next turn should be hopefully a good turn. We really need to discard one of these Blazing Root Wallows. Oh, God. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a Warren Instigator. Oh boy. Yeah, I guess that card gets better with Arena Glory, doesn't it? Goblin Matron. Gonna tutor up a goblin that then they can put into play with the Instigator? That's kind of insane. Siege. Wow. Holy mother of God. Wait, is Goblins good now? I mean, we're losing this game by a million miles, but at least we're losing to Goblins. That's kind of cool. Let's play this Arena of Glory. 1 and 2. Let's cast this Goblin Lore to discard some Blazing Root Wallas, please. All right, we discarded both of them. Did we hit any Vengevines or anything? No. Blazing Root Walla, cast it. Haha! For free. What are you gonna do now, Goblins? Blazing Root Walla, cast it for free. Yes, get back to Vengevine, please. And thank you. Well, now we Detectives Phoenix on the Vengevine. And hit you for 6, which is cute. That's pretty good. But our opponent has a lot of goblins. That is a lot. That was an insane turn too. Hasty Warren Now I kind of want to try goblins because that was just so absurd. Like Warren Instigator, when you can haste it in is actually, maybe it's actually a card. Opponent has a Munitions Expert on top. Snoop in play. Gonna cast the Munitions Expert. Gonna kill the Vengevine. Block here. And I guess we block here. Stay at 12. We draw Mountain. Hitting more Vengevines would be nice. We hit a Lightning Bolt. That's relevant. So we can discard the Blazing Root Walla. We can discard a Mountain. So we get to cast the Blazing Root Walla for free. Play the Wooded Foothills. Crack the Wooded Foothills. Mountain. FOMO, get back Vengevine. Get back Detective Phoenix. Hit ya. Snoop lives. We discard what? Burning Inquiry? Wait. Is there a way we can... So we can haste in the FOMO. We have the card types. Will we have them... Alright, will we have them if we... Phoenix Vengevine... Oh, we won't have the card types. Burning Inquiry? Yeah, we gotta risk it. We gotta risk it. Spin it to win it. Burning Inquiry. Come on. Oh, the Vengevine ends up in hand. But, we can Ox of Agonis. Exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get back the Ox. Get back the Vengevine. Discard a Vengevine. Discard the Bolt. So we're down both of our Lightning Bolts. I mean, if they just hit the combo with Snoop, then they get us. But I think our only realistic plan is to try to build a board that can actually kill our opponent. I don't think we win by playing defensively here. We just got to go offense. Vengevine's back. Ox is back. Discard the Vengevine and the Bolt. Draw some cards. All right, there's a Burning Inquiry. Well, go to combat, hit you with the Vengevine. Please no Kiki on top. If they have Goblin Harbinger in hand, then they get us with the combo, but we gotta pressure them. Wow, just gonna take it. That actually scares me. Our opponent not jumping with Munitions Expert makes me think they just have the combo. Well, either vial. Taking up to 3, that's usually the sweet spot. What's on top? Warren Instigator. Okay. Yeah. And that gets the Kiki and dead. That's a really tough position. Maybe there's an argument that we should have not got back the Vengevine, not got back the Ox, just Lightning Bolt the Snoop. But I'm feeling like because of the Siege Gang and just that absurd Warren Instigator, our opponent's just gonna beat us by attacking and throwing goblins at our stuff with Siege Gang. So I feel like our only realistic path of winning is to just try to kill our opponent before they kill us. The downside of that plan is if they got the combo, they got us. Well, I will say, as incredibly brutal as that was, Warren Instigator with Arena of Glory, maybe Goblins is real now because that turn 2 was just absolutely insane. What a weird match. Game one, our opponent just high rolls with Snoop, just naturally having Kiki on top of their deck the turn after they play it. Game 2, Hasty Warren Instigator for Goblin Matron into Siege King Commander. So our opponent's on turn 2 just has 5 bodies, 17 power, a million, just ridiculous. Seeing if Hollow One, oh my god, this is the worst hand ever. Seeing if Hollow One might be back thanks to Faithless Looting being unbanned. Well, this will keep. At least we got a bunch of looting effects. We need some hollow ones or something. Let's put the Stomping Grounds to the bottom. All right, well, if we can find a hollow one or two, this hand becomes very exciting. Seiju for our opponent and Abrew. Oh boy, Titan. We gotta be fast. Opponent, bounce land. We do have a couple Blood Moons in the sideboard. Vengevine. Well, let's Wooded Flails. Crack it. Stomping Grounds, untapped. And let's just Faithless Looting into double hollow one. Not quite. Discard the Vengevine. Discard the... Yeah, let's discard the Mountain for now. Yeah, let's just pass. We're going to wait in Street Wraith next turn. Passing. All right, we need a big turd. We need a big turd here. Flameblade Adept. Well, we are going to cycle a Street Wraith. Hollow one. Mountain. Well, cycle a Street Wraith. Hollow one. Or, oh, more lands. That's a lot of lands. A lot of lands. So, play the Mountain, play the Faithless Looting, discard a Vengevine, discard an Arena of Glory, cycle the Street Wraith, Hollow one! Please. Faithless. Oh. Do we looting again? Now we have to hit 2 hollow ones? I think we just gotta wait. Where's our hollow ones? Where's our hollow ones? Not playing the Flame Bait Adept because we want a second creature for triggering these Vengevines that we really would like to get back from the graveyard someday. Opponent, Slayer Stronghold. Green Sun for Dryad. Yep. Gonna make some extra land drops. Oh boy. Now even if we get back 2 Vengevines, is it even enough? We draw. Detectives Phoenix, well, okay. Faithless Looting. Oh, no! Still not finding it. Okay, discard the Ox, discard the Phoenix. Well, Desperation Mode, Arena of Glory, and the greatest Goblin lore of all time, please. But one hollow one doesn't do anything. Well, okay. Hollow one! Is there a next turn? I don't think there is a next turn, most likely. Opponent. Urza Saga. They don't have an amulet. That's the only tiny bit of good news. But if they just play a Titan here, which it looks like, yeah, okay, Titan. Do they have Valakuts? That's 12 damage. Yeah. Oh, our hollow one came too late. Well, we get to bring in 2 Blood Moons. And then do we do something crazy like bring in surgical extractions? So we could bring in surgicals in hopes that we have Burning Inquiry to make our opponent discard a Titan. I almost feel like we have to. The lightning bolts are bad. And then trim like a couple of FOMOs. Let's go 2. 2 surgicals, 2 blood moons. We're not like that. Well, that's our hopes and dreams. Stick either, okay. Hollow and Nut Draw, where you just have like 8 power on turn 2. That'd be sweet. Blood Moon you. That would be sweet. Make you discard a Primeval Titan, surgically extract it, make you beat us without prime time. That would also, those are our three ways that I think we can beat this deck. I feel like Amulet Titan's a deck I just never beat. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, when I'm playing, I just always lose. we got 3 hollow ones. How do we not keep this? Unfortunately, we have double Arena Glory, which is very awkward. We could use an untap land. We have the we need an untap land. Arena Glory, go. Okay, come on, Magic Cats. Come on, Magic Cats. Oh, this hand's so scary. This hand's either going to be insane or it's going to be horrible. An untap land would be wonderful, so we can do things this turn instead of many turns in the future. Opponent, Abrew Grazer. It's Urza Saga. Faithless Looting. So we Faithless Looting, discard Vengevine. Yeah, let's do it. We can set up for next turn. Discard the Vengevine. Discard the FOMO. Play the Mountain. It's all gonna depend on this Goblin lore. And even if we get it, is it fast enough or do we just lose to primetime anyway because of this Urza Saga getting... Probably in our dream world, we just top deck Blood Moon. That would actually be the best. Street Wraith, well, okay. Cycle the Street Wraith to see if we can find a Blood Moon. Faithless Looting. Well, this is actually better. This is going to guarantee we get to do the hollow one thing. So let's Faithless Looting. Ooh, Surgical Extraction. Surgical. Arena of Glory. Play a hollow one. Play a hollow one. Get back the Vengevines. Triple hollow one turn 3. Is it enough? Is it enough? Hollow one. Stomping Grounds, tapped, hit you with the Vengevine. That's a lot of hollow ones. That's a lot of hollow ones. That is a lot of hollow ones. About it. Gonna block with a Grazer. The problem is we know this Saga's getting... They make a construct to block. And we know this can get Amulet. If they can play Primeval Titan this turn. Alright, opponent's just gonna make a construct. So they're gonna set up for the future. Play some defense. This does mean we have another shot at drawing a Blood Moon. There's Amulet. Opponent. No, there's a Saga. Basking Root Wallow. Well, we might as well Goblin Lore. Goblin Lore, see what happens. Madness the Root Walla. And then bestow the Phoenix on the Root Walla. Actually, can we play land still? We can. Yeah, let's put on the Root Walla. Exile. Arena of Glory. Here comes the dorks. Do we survive a prime time? Opponent blocks. So we get to hit for what, 13? Well, okay, so opponent blocks and blocks. We Pump the Root Walla. Hit ya. Down to 7. All right, this is it, opponent. This is it. Kill us if you... Can they even primetime this turn? They need, like, something that gives extra land drops, right? They only have 3 mana. So I need, like, Grazer Bounce Land or something. And opponent scoops it up. Do we want the Nature's Claim? Maybe. Maybe Surgical's not even... Maybe that's too pie in the sky. I just feel like desperation mode against this deck. But maybe we shouldn't. Nature's Claim to blow up Urza Saga seems relevant. It blows up Dryad of the Ilsinger. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it like that. Let's try it like that. Well, I mean, we gotta keep this. We gotta keep it. We got the Burning Inquiry. We got a Hollow One. We got a Vengevine. Spin it to win it. Spin it to win it. And this can also mess up our opponent's hand, potentially. This is where the Surgical could actually be good. Well, let's see what happens. Blazing Revolve is actually pretty excellent. There's a world. So what we want to do here, and obviously this is all random, so we can't control it. But what we'd like to have happen is we would like to discard this Vengevine and this Blaze. You know, we're going to put him over here by the graveyard so Moto knows. Discard these over to the graveyard. Keep the Hollow One. Cast this, turn 1 Vengevine, win the game. But who knows what'll happen. Burning Inquiry, spin it to win it. Wow, that actually was exactly what we hoped. Okay, Magic Gods. Magic Gods. Thank you. And all right, 8 also got rid of an Amulet. We get back a Vengevine on turn 1. We get to hit ya with the Vengevine, put it down to 16. Dryad and Amulet also down is kind of big. Well, we will pass the turn, and that's about as good of a start as we can get off to. Opponent. I mean, obviously we could have more Hollow Ones or Vengevines, but still. Ooh, they have the Amulet. That's frightening. Oh, I thought we were gonna get away with it. Found it. All right, Gruul Turf. Untaps and taps. Oh, God. Now we might be dead next turn. Opponent passes. Oh, man. We gotta survive 1 turn. Oh, okay. How do we survive 1 turn without the prime time coming? 4, 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11. Do we Burning Inquiry? We could Arena of Glory Burning Inquiry. Oh, man. I wish we could play this Blood Moon. The problem is if we do that, we could lose the Blood Moon. But do we even survive a turn? All right, let's do this. We're just going to wait. We're going to play the Flameblade Adept. We're going to play this Arid Mesa. We're going to crack the Arid Mesa. We're going to get a Mountain. We're going to go to combat. Hit ya. Pump. Oh, our opponent having 3 Amulets in their top 11 cards, though, might get us. Double Amulet's absurd. There's a Bounce Land. Yeah. I imagine we die. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, we had such a good start, too, but we're going to die with the Blood Moon in hand. And there's Primeval Titan. Like, with double Amulet, this is just so ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even live to 3 mana to play the Blood Moon. And opponent, Bounce Land and Mirror Pool to copy the Primeval Titan to get more lands. Well, I guess we should have been on the play. I guess that's the... If we were on the play, we could have played the Blood Moon in time, and none of this would have happened. So maybe it's all just play draw. Like, maybe it really is just play versus draw here. Maybe that's... Plus, I mean, double Amulet also is allowing this to happen. And opponent, yeah. Gonna pump him and haste him. I mean, there's no way we're not dead here, right? Is there any world where we are not dead? Opponent, yeah. Gonna float a bunch of mana, untap their stuff, haste in a Primeval Titan, and haste in a Primeval Titan, and then they get 4 more lands. And then they can get something that gives double strike, right? And we just die. I don't know what to say about this one. Other than, apparently Primeval Titan is pretty good. This wasn't a case of us, like, having a bad hand. Like, we had a great hand, right? We had turn 1 Vengevine, Hollow One. We did the thing we wanted to do. But turns out our opponent had a pile of Amulets in hand. So our opponent's absurd hand beats our absurd hand. I just wish we were on the play so we could play this Blood Moon. I mean, that is one of the problems with Blood Moon, right? Like... If you're on the draw, turn 3 can just be too slow. This used to be the problem against Tron too, because Tron can do their big thing on turn 3. So if your turn 3 is after your opponent's turn 3, they can already have their Karn down or whatever by the time you're playing the Blood Moon. And we're kind of seeing that happen here where, because I guess it's worth noting that whoever played first won all of these games. Like, opponent won the die roll, won game 1. We won game 2. Game 3, opponent gets to go first. Couldn't get the Blood Moon down in time. Yeah, I think if we were on the play, we would have won this game and probably the match. But we got to make our opponent do it, right? Like, they I imagine they can do it, that you just get like a double strike land or something. The thing is, if they can't do it for some reason, and we don't die here, the vigilance does hurt. Maybe we just die anyway, because they're at 5. So these have vigilance, block. All right, opponent does have double strike, but they need the red mana, which they will get, right? They can get red mana. It'll untap, yeah. All right. Not absurd enough. Poor Hollow One. So fair. It is Hollow One time, and we're going to keep this. No Hollow Ones, but we do have a lot of looting effects. We got the Blazing Rootwalla. Is a good discard. Opponent, Godless Shrine. Thought Seize. Well, his hand's pretty Thought Seize proof. Pretty redundant. Take the Blazing Rootwalla, opponent. We can play that next turn. You don't want us playing our powerful 1-drop. Opponent takes a Faithless Looting. We draw. Flameblade Adept. Well, in that case, let's just get down the Flameblade. This at least gives us some damage as we Burning Inquiry and so forth next turn. What is Orzhov? I have not seen turn 1 Godless Shrine in a minute. Oh, it's Mardu Energy. Oh, my nemesis. All right, opponent. Ocelot Pride. Arid Mesa. Cracks the Arid Mesa. Blood Crypt untap down to 12 for a minute. And Thought Seizes again. Gonna take the Fear of Missing Out. Opponent's at 10. I don't know what we do here, though. We really need a Hollow One. Street Wraith. Well, let's cycle Street Wraith. Grow the Flameblade Adept. Mountain. Cycle Street Wraith. Flameblade Adept. Vengevine. Well, Burning Inquiry. Okay, that's pretty good. So grow it. Oh, this is great. This is great. Our opponent's gonna have to chump. And then we can play the Arena of Glory. Play another Rootwalla, get back the Vengevine, and this forces our opponent to chump the Vengevine, which is huge. Wow, Flameblade doing some work here on turn 2. Found it. Yeah, you gotta chump it. Ocelot Pride down to 5. Well, we will pass the turn and see if our opponent can get out from this. That was a good turn 2. Didn't even find the Hollow One, but the Vengevine, oh, don't Flagus. Seasoned Pyromancer are going to try to make some blockers, which I guess is pretty good for our opponent. Discards an Ajani and a land, makes 1 token. We draw. Well, let's play the Faithless Looting. Oh, Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt wins us the game, right? Discard and discard. I think this wins us the game. Grow the Flameblade. Go to the Flameblade. Play the Mountain. Go to combat. Swing. Yeah, it should be good. Wow, I think we got there. Maybe we can beat an energy deck. Maybe we can beat energy. I mean, in this case, we were just way more explosive than our opponent was. Oh, we don't even need the bolt. All we gotta do is pump. All we gotta do is pump. And okay, turn 3 kill. That was pretty good. That was really good. When we bring in the Brothers It Ends, do we need to try to Surgical Flage, or do we just try to Race Flage? Do we try to Blood Moon? Maybe there's a world where you just Blood Moon them. They're Mardu Energy, right? So Mardu Energy has a worse mana base than, or a more Blood Moonable mana base. Is it worth it? Do we try to jank them out with the Blood Moon? How do we fight the Flage? I guess they also probably have Chthonian Nightmare, which I guess is another argument for Surgical. Let's go down a couple FOMOs. Definitely want Brothers at End. We really just want to be more explosive. That's the real goal. Is just do what we did in game 1. Maybe we bring in a couple Surgicals to hedge our bets, though. Go down the rest of the FOMOs. I feel like I always cut FOMO. I don't know if that's actually correct or not. The Detective's Phoenix, I think, is important in this matchup. Yeah, let's try it. 2 Surgicals, 2 Brothers at End. Go down the FOMOs. Well, I mean, this is most likely a turn 1 Hollow One hand. Unless we low roll with Burning Inquiry, or get Thought Seized, I guess. But, I mean, we gotta keep it. We gotta keep it. Tap land. Well, as long as we don't discard our Hollow One to this Burning Inquiry, we should be in good shape. We draw. Wooded Foothills. Well, let's play Wooded. We're going to thin the deck first. Not that the math actually adds up that much, but we might as well. So get the Mountain. Cycle a Street Wraith. There's a Faithless Looting. That's good. Cycle a Street Wraith. Faithless Looting. Wow, this is great. Discard a Vengevine. Discard a Rootwalla. I mean, this is the start we want. This is the start. Play the Blazing Rootwalla. Play the Hollow One. Get back the Vengevine. And I mean, that's the turn 1 dream. Hit ya. Down to 16. Pass the turn. Not a bad turn 1. Johnny. Nikado Praya. Passing. We find a Faithless Looting. Well, let's start with the Faithless. Actually, okay, let's play the Arid Mesa, crack the Arid Mesa, get a mountain. Start with the Faithless Looting. Discard, discard. Play the Root Walla. Go to combat, swing with the crew. So opponent can flip the Ajani, but they're going to take a bunch of damage. Blocks the hollow one. Well, in that case, we will just pump this, hit you for 7. All right, Ajani flipped, but our opponent's down to 7. We will pass the turn. Come on, hold. Oh, I really want to beat this deck. I never beat Energy. Maybe Hollow One is the secret sauce. Opponent, 6 cards in hand, and Ajani on the battlefield, but facing down. A Hollow One, a Vengevine, 2 Root Wallas, and we still have a Burning Inquiry to spin it to win it next turn. If they can get a red permanent for Ajani to deal damage, it makes it better for them, right? Because then they can snipe a Blazing Root Wall. All right, opponent's just going to tick up, make the cat, make some blockers. Opponent passes. Well, let's see what we find. Brotherhood End. And opponent scoops it up. We didn't necessarily have lethal there, right? Because our opponent can block the Vengevine in the Hollow One, and they gain 1 from Ocelot Pride. What would we have hit? Can we see? Arena of Glory. Oh god, Mountain. Faithless Looting. Ugh. And then the looting, land. Wow, that. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm very glad our opponent scooped because good lord, do we have a lot of lands on the top of our deck. Well, up to 2-2. Up to 2-2. Can we finish with a winning record with Hollow One? All I really care about, though, is this one. We beat the Energy deck. Maybe Hollow One's the answer. Like, it turns out that having a 4/4 on turn 1 or turn 2, maybe multiples, actually seems kind of good against Energy. And we even had a Brotherhood End left over. If things went wrong, we could have swept the board. So, pretty good. Can we feed the kids? We're going for the 3-2 with Hollow One. The kids are hungry. We really need one more win to get that sweet, sweet treasure chest. So, turn 1, bolt something. Turn 2, we can FOMO the Root Walla. And then all right, well, we're going to keep it. Hand's fine. We're missing our big payoffs, but it's fine. Sacred Foundry, tapped for our opponent, and passing. Well, there's a Vengevine. That's not a bad draw. Let's play the Wooded Foothills and pass the turn. How do we get the Vengevine into play next turn? I don't know if we can guarantee it. Arena of Glory for our opponent. Fear of missing out. Discards. Oh god, some sort of reanimator deck. Oh, that's scary. All right. That's very frightening. Well, let's crack this Wooded Foothills. Grab the mountain, and I think we do just bolt here. Bolt the fear of missing out. Give us something good. Detective's Phoenix. Yeah, let's just FOMO away Vengevine. I think this makes the most sense. FOMO the Vengevine. And hopefully this sets us up to next turn. Well, okay, this definitely sets us up to next turn, get back the Vengevine now. This Grizzlebrand in the graveyard got me a little scared, though. That is concerning. Opponent, Faithless Looting. So it's not a persist deck. It must be like Goryo's Vengeance. Well, we untap. So the way we can guarantee the Vengevine is fear of missing out, discard the Root Walla. We could also Goblin Lore and see what happens. There's higher upside with Goblin Lore. Because if we Goblin Lore, discard like Detective's Phoenix, Root Walla, FOMO. Actually, I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Since we don't have enough evidence to collect. All right, let's go with the simple one. Fear of missing out. Discard Blazing Root Walla. Ooh, there's Faithless Looting. Okay. Cast it. So that's spell number 2, or creature number 2. Get back the Vengevine. Play the Arid Mesa. Do we also want a Faithless Looting here? Probably. All right, let's Arid Mesa crack it. Grab a mountain. Looting. Because we want to get this Phoenix in the graveyard anyway. Discard and discard. And this gets us the FOMO card type. So now we can go to combat, untap the Vengevine. I mean, this is an attack for 10. So our opponent needs to do the thing next turn. FOMO's actually looking real nice right now. This extra attack is huge. Take 6. And then Vengevine hits you again down to 10. All right. No Oh, they have it. They got the vengeance. Yeah. Well, probably a good chance we die now, but we will see. At least we hit our opponent a bunch, so that does kind of minimize how many cards they can draw, but opponent, yeah, getting in. Back up to 17. We drop to 11. Well, let's see what they do. Opponent draws a Grizzlebrand. And Ephemerate's a Grizzlebrand. Oh, that probably beats us, doesn't it? Being able to keep that Grizzlebrand forever. Faithless Looting. So now we need to draw a Lightning Bolt for our own creature to get through this Grizzlebrand. Atraxa discarded. Well, the good news is we got a bunch of surgicals in our in our sideboard. Hopefully we draw them. All right, yeah, Grizzlebrand sticks because of Ephemerate. Wow, we actually do draw a Lightning Bolt. Does this let us win? All right, now we actually got to think about this. Opponents at 10. So we probably still need to get lucky, right? All right, let's exert make mana. Play Flameblade Adept. Goblin Lore to grow the Flameblade Adept. Pump it, pump it. Are we still 1 point of damage short? So play the Mountain. So our opponent, let's say they block Vengevine. Oh boy, all right. I mean, we just got to go for it. Go to combat attack. If they have anything, we die. Fear of missing out. Untap the Flameblade Adept. Fear of missing out. Untap, I guess, the Fear of missing out. Oh, that does it. That does it. Goryo's Vengeance for Atraxa. So what we are trying to do there is how this would have worked if they didn't have the Goryo's Vengeance. So we attack with everything. Our opponent's going to block. They can't block the Flameblade, right? So they're going to block something. Whatever they block, we Lightning Bolt. Then our opponent takes at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we get through with the Menace, with the Flameblade on the second combat to close it out. So we did have lethal, but not lethal that's going to be our opponent having a second Goryo's Vengeance there. Well, all right. Oh, the kids are hungry. The kids are kind of hungry. The kids are kind of hungry. And if we don't win this match, no treats for the bear. Poor starving puppy. All right, here we go. Well, all right, we're going to keep this. I like that we have a surgical. A little scared that we might end up discarding it, but I mean, we have a turn 1 hollow one at least. That's something. Well, hopefully we'll see. You never know. You never know with Burning Inquiry. We may hopefully have a turn 1 hollow one. Well, let's cycle the Street Wraith. So we'd like to not discard. Okay. Wow. So we have the Dream set up again if we get lucky. We would like to discard Vengevine, Blazing Rootwalla, Detective's Phoenix, not Surgical Hollow one. Well, let's see. Burning Inquiry, spin it to win it, spin it to win it. Interesting. Well, cast the Hollow one. Get back the Vengevine. Cast the Hollow one. Go to combat. I mean, those are 2 hollow ones. Scoops it up. Okay, well, with our best starts, we can actually race the Degenerate Reanimator deck. I mean, that's the nut draw we've been waiting for, right? Like, that's, yeah, we could have 3 hollow ones or 4 hollow ones. But seriously, turn 1, 2 hollow ones, Vengevine, Blazing Rootwalla. Most decks are not going to beat that, especially with us on the play. All right, it all comes down to this. Our winning record, our food for the kids, all comes down to this one game. I don't think we change anything. I think, good to know that our opponent also has Surgical, but give us a good hand, Magic Gods. Smile upon your Halloween children. We're just trusting in the randomness to come through. We're on the draw. We don't have a Surgical. So this hand is turn 1, Burning Inquiry. We have the Street Wraith. Who knows? Who knows what we end up with? Could be literally anything. I guess we can also just mulligan to try to find hollow ones or Surgicals. I think we just keep it. We keep it. I think it's fine. Opponent, Marsh Flats. Blood Crypt, untapped. And Thoughtseize. Without the Burning Inquiry, the hand does get worse. And passes. Let me draw. Well, that would have been good in the world where we still have the Burning Inquiry. Next turn. Next turn's a big turn. Faithless Looting. We do get to see a bunch of new cards with the Goblin Lore. We might discard those new cards, but we are going to see a bunch of new cards, in theory. If we get really desperate, we can cycle the Street Wraith. All right, Flage and FOMO. Nile Spellbomb. All right, so some graveyard hate. Wooded Foothills. Get a Stomping Grounds. Tapped. Untap. Burning Inquiry. And let's start by cycling the Street Wraith. Faithless Looting. Let's just play the Mountain. Goblin Lore. See what we find. Come on, Magic Gods. Well, there's a hollow one. So we can cast the hollow one. We discarded a hollow one, unfortunately. Man, if we had both hollow ones, that would be sick. FOMO. All right, well, pass the turn. All right, so we come out of it with a 4/4. 2 Vengevines in the graveyard, although sadly that Nile Spellbomb can nuke them in the future. Did not find a Surgical, also did not discard a Surgical. Marsh Flats for our opponent. Gonna cash in the Nile Spellbomb. Well, there goes a pretty good graveyard. Yeah, all right, graveyard down. Opponent draws a card. Thankfully, they don't have a reanimation target yet. Surgical. We find a Street Wraith. Well, cycle Street Wraith. Blazing Rootwalla, Faithless Looting, discard, and discard. Get the Blazing Rootwalla, cast it. Man, that graveyard hate was so good for our opponent. So we get through Walla. Oh, so we can't quite win with the FOMO. So I think we just Burning Inquiry. Burning Inquiry, see if we can find a Surgical. No. So we end up with a pretty similar hand. Opponent, Ephemerate, FOMO, Nile, Spellbomb, Arena Glory. Well, we can play the Arid Mesa. Oh, so here's the question. Do we Burning Inquiry to try to find a Surgical? Or do we just get back the Phoenix on the Blazing Root Wall and hit our opponent for 7? Let's crack the Arid Mesa. I think we go with the Phoenix plan. Get the Mountain, Detectives Phoenix, Exile, and Exile. All right, here comes Detectives Phoenix. Go to combat, smack ya. And this is basically it. Let's see if they can kill us. Opponent cracks Marsh Flats down to 5. Presumably to get a Surveil land to try to either get something in the graveyard or find a reanimation spell. Opponent mills Agorio's Vengeance. So they have Vengeance in hand, they just have nothing to reanimate. They can get back the Flage, which could be enough to win them the game. It puts them 1 outside of lethal, so we need something about it. Yeah, there's a Flage. So they're gonna snipe the Root Walla. We get back the Phoenix for now. Opponent goes back up to 7. Yeah, Flage is pretty good. We draw Burning Inquiry. Well, okay. Burning Inquiry. Spin it to win it. Okay, Blazing Root Walla, we might as well play it. Faithless Looting. Discard and discard. Play the Mountain. FOMO. Get back the Vengevine. Draw a card. Well, go to combat. Swing with everything. Put you to 1. Opponent gonna kill the hollow one. I don't know if this is going to be enough or not. Opponent goes to 1. Are we going to end up 1 point of life away from feeding the kids? Opponent, Arena of Glory. Oh no, going to haste in something? Kalia the what? We're going to lose to a Kalia? Magic gods. Magic gods. You gotta be kidding me. Grizzlebrand off of Kalia. What a way to lose. We draw a useless land. Well, Goblin Lore, spin it to win it one last time. But I don't know if there's a spin to win that actually kills our opponent here. None of that stuff does it. Flameblade Adept doesn't do it. Yeah, I think that does it. Wow. Kalia of the Vast coming through to steal the win and keep the children hungry. That was an interesting match. Kalia. Of all things, Kalia the Vast, Commander playable, coming down. So I think the biggest takeaway for this. So what do we learn about Hollow One? I mean, it's certainly better with Faithless Looting. Is it good? I mean, we got to see like games where it felt really good, and then games where we did its thing and its thing wasn't good enough. And that's the part that concerns me a little bit, is the games where we had like the big turn 1 start or turn 2, and then our opponent would just like do their big Primeval Titan thing, and it was even bigger than our thing. So that part was a little disappointing, that sometimes we had like really good Hollow One games where we had like 10 power on turn 2 or something, and it wasn't enough to win. So that part was a little bit concerning. I will also say, we played a lot of close games. Like, if you look back on our league, so we finished with a 2-3. That last game, obviously, we were a point away from winning. Like, it was as close as a game of Magic could be. I don't know, maybe there was another point of damage in there somewhere that we could have squeaked out. But regardless, it was super close. And then if you look at the Primeval Titan match, one of our other matches that we lost, that one also was a 3-game match that really came down to our opponent having triple Amulet draw and being able to win on turn 3. And because they were on the play, we had a Blood Moon in hand that would have ended the game, but we couldn't get it down in time because their hand was so nutty. So 2 of those matches, I think you could argue, could have easily gone either way based on things like play draw or whatever. So yes, a 2-3 record, not like exciting, I guess. We'd much rather be opening a treasure chest and feeding the kids, but the deck felt solid. Like, the deck felt solid. It wasn't like we were just getting blown out. Like, even in our losses, it was really close. So I will say, probably the biggest takeaway from this league is Arena of Glory was really the card of this league. Like, we have 4 copies in our deck, and it was fine. We got to get value out of it. It almost did some really powerful things sometimes. But if you look at our opponent's decks, we lost. Oh, the other one. The other match we lost, I forgot this, was the Goblins match. There was just ridiculous high roll starts. But we got to see Arena of Glory putting Warren Instigator into play with haste on turn 2, and our opponent essentially just won the game by putting Warren Instigator and a Siege Game into play on turn 2, like 10 mana of spells on the battlefield on turn 2. And then in that last game, our opponent would have lost if it wasn't for Arena of Glory to haste in a Kalia to put a Grizzlebrand into play. So I think the card of this league and the story of this match isn't so much Hollow One, which I think Hollow One, it felt fine. Like, I still really like the deck. It's still super fun to play. Yeah, 2 and 3 isn't exciting record-wise, but all the matches were so close. We could have been anything from like 1 and 4 to 4 and 1, I think, realistically. It's almost like when you read a poll and it's got the margin of error. Like, it's kind of like that. And with any one league, you gotta like kind of take it with a grain of salt and know that if little things went either direction, like it could have went up and down by a win or two. So record-wise, 2-3, could have been a 4-1, could have been a 1-4, like somewhere in between there. But the real takeaway is Arena Glory is apparently the truth and a really scary card. And excitingly, seems to be making otherwise unplayable cards playable, like Warren Instigator, Akalia the Vast. So maybe we gotta mess around more with Arena of Glory. Not so much as like, I'm gonna jam it in my deck for value since I have red mana, but as an actual build around, like as an actual, like, this is the focus of my deck. So anyway, that's Hollow One. That's Modern. Really, all that really matters is we beat the energy deck. That's all that actually matters. So really, we're 5-0. We get all the treasure chests because we took down the energy deck, the nemesis of the format. But that's Hollow One. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed some more sweet, sweet Modern action, and I will talk to you soon.